I am 106 years old, and I am here to tell you the truth before I go. Not to preach at you. I am too old and too tired for preaching. I am here to warn you, because I made 3 mistakes in my life that cost me decades of peace. Decades I cannot get back. I ran from God. I chose being right over being changed. And I built my whole life on ground that could not hold. Before we begin, I want you to know you are not alone. If you feel ready, share in the comments what God has meant in your life. Now, let's talk. I knew I was called young. I am not talking about a voice from the sky. It was quieter than that. It was a pull deep in the chest, a sense that the good Lord had something specific for my hands and my mouth and my days. I felt it clearly when I was no more than 19 years old, and I turned away from it. I told myself I was too young. Then I told myself I was too busy. Then I told myself I would get to it later, after things settled down. But things never settled down. That is one of the great lies we tell ourselves. Life does not pause and wait for you to feel ready. Now, listen to me. You know the story of Jonah. God calls him. Jonah runs the other direction. Book's passage on a ship headed as far from his calling as he can get. And I used to read that story and think, how foolish, how stubborn, until I realized I had done the exact same thing for 30 years. The thing about God is He does not chase you loudly. He does not beg. He just quietly closes every other door, one by one, and you stand there wondering why nothing is working, why you feel hollow, why you keep reaching for things that never quite fill you up. That is the belly of the whale, right there. Not some dramatic rock bottom. Just this slow, restless ache. This feeling that you're always running but never arriving anywhere that matters. I remember lying awake at night, successful by every measure the world cares about, and feeling like I was standing in a room with all the lights off. I had built things. I had earned things. But in the dark of the night, there was nothing there. The running did not stop because I had some great revelation. I want to be honest with you about that. It stopped because I got tired. Just bone tired of moving and getting nowhere. Jonah did not pray from the whale's belly because he was suddenly wise. He prayed because he had run completely out of options. That is where I met the good Lord again. Not in a church, not in a moment of glory, in the exhaustion. Scripture says it plainly. Jonah ran from the Lord, got on that ship, and from inside the whale he cried out, "In my distress I called to the Lord, and he answered me." The deep led him to prayer. The running led him to the deep. Here is what I know now. The calling does not disappear. It just waits. And every year you run from it, child, it gets heavier. I stopped running. I came back to the good Lord. I started doing the things I was supposed to do. Church, Scripture, discipline. I showed up. I gave. I served. From the outside, I looked like a man who had finally gotten it right. And for a while, I believed that myself. But here's the thing. My heart was still cold. You know the parable of the prodigal son. Most people focus on the younger brother, the one who takes his inheritance, wastes it, ends up feeding pigs in a foreign field. He comes home broken, and the father runs to meet him, throws a robe on his back, kills the fatted calf, throws a party. But the older brother, that is who I was, standing outside the door, arms crossed, keeping score. I have been here the whole time. I never left. I never wasted anything. And now you're throwing a party for him. I spent years like that, doing right but feeling wronged, obeying but not belonging, going through every motion of faith without any of the warmth of it. I knew my scripture. I could tell you where you were wrong faster than I could tell you that I loved you. And the people around me felt it. My children felt it. My wife felt it. They did not feel judged exactly. They just did not feel free around me. And that is almost worse. See, pride does not always look like arrogance. Sometimes it looks like discipline. Sometimes it looks like faithfulness. It sits in the pew every Sunday and takes notes and never once opens its hands. I think of it like a rusted engine. Pride locks up the gears. Grace cannot move through a man who is gripping everything that tight. I was so busy being correct that I forgot what I was supposed to be becoming. The father in that parable does not argue with the older son. He just says, "Son, you are always with me. Everything I have is yours." He is patient. He is gentle. But the older brother is standing outside a party that was always meant for him too, and he cannot walk through the door. That was me for a long time. Outside the door, right about everything, joyless. The moment I recognized it, I want to tell you, it was not pretty. There was no mountaintop feeling. I just looked at myself one afternoon, and I saw a man who had a correct life and an empty chest. And I got down on my knees, and I told the good Lord that I did not want to be right any more. I wanted to be His. God does not want your scorecard. He wants your face turned toward Him. That is the whole thing. That is all of it. I learned that the hard way. Now, even while all of that was happening, I was building. That is the word for it. Building. Career, reputation, a name people respected, security for my family. I worked hard, and I was proud of what I had stacked up. It looked solid. It felt solid. A good house, a good standing. Things I could point to and say, I made that. And for a long stretch of years, none of it was tested. That is the tricky part. Jesus told a story about two men who each built a house. One built on rock, one built on sand. And when the sun was out, you could not tell the difference. Both houses looked fine. Both men looked smart. The sand only shows itself in the storm. My storms came late. They always do. Retirement came, and the title was gone. Then the body started failing. Then the people I had built everything alongside started dying, one by one. And I watched everything I had constructed with my own hands start to shake. Not because it was poorly made, but because it was made of the wrong thing. The career could not hold me when I could not work. The reputation could not sit with me in a hospital room. The money could not touch the grief. Everything I had stacked up on the wrong ground just rattled in the wind. But here is what did not shake: the relationship with the good Lord that I had finally stopped running from. The grace I had finally stopped being too proud to receive. That held. Not because I deserved it, not because I had been faithful enough. It held because He is faithful. That is the whole foundation right there. You do not know what your foundation is made of until the storm hits. And I am telling you the truth. You do not want to find out at 80 what I found out. Start digging now. Find out what is underneath what you are building. I am 106 years old, and I have no regrets about where I ended up, only about how long it took me to get there. 3 mistakes, decades spent running, years spent being right and empty, a whole life stacked on ground that could not hold the weight of the storms. But I am still here, and so are you, and that means you still have time I did not think I had. It is never too late to stop running, never too late to open your hands, never too late to check what you are building on. Share this with someone who is tired of running. And tell me in the comments, where are you looking for peace today?